First off, I want to welcome both the new members and the returning members to the committee for the Veterans Affairs for the 119th Congress organizational meeting. And before we get started, I want to extend the entire committee's support to the ranking member Takano, Ms. Brownlee, when she gets here, their constituents in Southern California for what they're suffering through. When a tragedy like this happens, something that we've never seen, our prayers are with you, and anything we can do, we're there for you. And we want to thank, and we're all thinking of all the California delegation. I have a grandson that has an apartment there. He has left that and coming to the events there this week, and his dad told him to get all of his belongings out of the house that were valuable, but he just got out of the Marine Corps, and he said, I don't know if you know this or not, I'm just got out of the Marine Corps and I don't have anything valuable, but he's right there in the middle of it as well. So you are in our prayers. For those of you that don't know, my name is Mike Bost, and it is an honor to serve as chairman of this committee. And I'm an enlisted non-combat Marine veteran from deep southern Illinois. This is my sixth term in Congress, and I've been honored to serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee the entire time that I've been here. I come from a military family with a long history of service. My son is continuing that tradition through his service in the Marine Corps. My grandson, as I just said, was recently got out of the Corps after 4 years. After leaving military service, I returned home to run a family small business. I was also involved and I was a full-time firefighter for a while and served many years in the Illinois General Assembly. But I do want to welcome each and every one of you to the committee. This is a very special place to serve. Very few Americans will have the opportunity in their lifetime to create change for the men and women who have served this nation. Here we get to do that every day. I'm committed to continuing to maintain the bipartisan nature of this committee as we serve our nation's veterans. I've enjoyed meeting with many of you already, and I look forward to a chance to meet with all of you at some time shortly. Each of you bring a very unique perspective to the table. And I'm sure that each of you will take the role on this committee as seriously as you should and as you can, as we fulfill the commitment we have made to our veterans and their families. And I don't take this responsibility that we have in this committee lightly. And I refuse to let the veterans down. Which is why I'm excited to get organized and move forward with our agenda for veterans this Congress. As such, this morning, we will begin the adoption of the committee rules, approval of vice chairs and subcommittee chairs and ranking members, and approval of subcommittee assignments and approval of committee staff and approval of oversight plan. Finally, I also want to congratulate my friend, Mark Takano, on his election and to continue being the ranking member of this committee. Mark and I have served together for many years, and I know that he shares my commitment to working hard and getting real things done in a bipartisan way for the men and women that we serve here. And I want to now recognize the ranking member, Mark Takano, for his opening comments.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank you for your kind opening words and your prayers. We need your prayers now, and we'll need your prayers going into the future. My own father, who lives about 10 minutes from me, had his power cut off. I'm not sure if he's been able to move back yet. Riversiders are not in imminent danger, approximate danger. We did have a fire breakout that took 2 or 3 hours to put out, but our firefighters from our area are supporting the effort. And all of Southern California is subject to these very dangerous winds, and we're on edge. But let me just bring something up that really shouldn't be partisan or political, and it's not. I have voted for every disaster relief aid and supplemental never have put conditions on this. When I see a disaster happen in Louisiana, I don't see Louisianans, I see Americans. When a hurricane barrels through North Carolina, I don't see North Carolinians, I see Americans. When I see a hurricane moving through Florida, same thing. I just ask that all members remember that we're all Americans. California has the largest population of veterans. The LA VA has had many employees who have had their homes in danger, and this is a time for us to come together. And so I'll need more than your prayers. I'll need your help going forward. So that is my plea to you, and that's how you can help us in California as we're fighting these fires. Our Democratic caucus met yesterday and organized, and I'm pleased to say that we could welcome seven returning members and 3 new members to the committee. Our new members include Representative Maxine Dexter, I should say Dr. Representative Maxine Dexter, she's a medical doctor of Oregon. Dr. Dexter has a depth of experience working in healthcare as a lung and critical care physician, and is chair of the board of Northwest Permanente, one of the largest healthcare providers in the Pacific Northwest. Dr. Dexter comes to Congress from the Oregon House of Representatives, where she championed bills to address the housing and homelessness crisis, protect reproductive rights, expand addiction treatment services, and combat violence, gun violence. We're grateful for the insight Dr. Dexter will share with this committee. So welcome, Dr. Dexter. Representative Herb Conaway Jr., also a medical doctor of New Jersey. Dr. Conaway is an Air Force veteran and served as captain of the Medical Corps at McGuire Air Force Base. He later practiced medicine in primary care settings before transitioning to academia. He served as the assemblyman for New Jersey's 7th Legislative District for 25 years. In addition to being a doctor, a veteran, and a state legislator, Dr. Conaway also earned his law degree at Rutgers Law School. We welcome the breadth of experience and service Dr. Conaway brings to this committee. Representative Kelly Morrison, MD, also a medical doctor of Minnesota, rounding out our trifecta of HVAC Democratic physicians. Dr. Morrison practiced obstetrics and gynecology for more than 20 years and joins us after serving in the Minnesota legislature for 6 years. She has a track record of tackling complex issues, including lowering the price of prescription drugs, addressing the opioid crisis, strengthening mental health care, mental health support in schools, and supporting veterans, seniors, and caregivers. Dr. Morrison's husband served as an Army Ranger, and I look forward to her sharing her professional and personal experience with the committee. I'm also pleased to welcome our 7 returning Democratic members, Representatives Brownlee, Pappas, Scherflis, McCormick, McGarvey, Ramirez, Budzinski, and Kennedy, and I look forward to our continued service together. We still have unfinished work to do as we strive to honor our nation's veterans. This committee has always served as an example of how we can come together and to accomplish great things so that we can fulfill our promise to the men and women who serve our country. And Chairman Bost, to me, as a personal sentiment I want to express, it's been a wonderful time that we've had. We certainly have strongly held views, and we have our differences, but we have sincerely striven to find common ground where we can, and we have. And I look forward to doing the same in this next Congress. So thank you. And yield back.
Thank you. So the agenda for our business meeting and all other documents are in the packet that's in front of each one of you. And so let's get started. The first item of business will be consideration of the proposed committee rules for the 119th Congress. The proposed changes in the rules have already been sent to the members on both sides of the aisle and are before you now. My staff reached out to Ranking Member Takano's staff in December regarding proposed changes to the rules, which for most purposes are technical in nature. However, there are 2 substantive changes compared to last Congress. The rules were modified in conjunction with the House rules to allow the committee to take votes electronically when possible. It will be a great advantage if you're serving in any of the other committees, understanding how passed, this allows the process to move. The rules also were updated related to the truth in testimony form. These forms provide basic information about the witness and the organizations they represent. As many of you are aware, recently after the law banning TikTok in the United States was enacted, several veteran service organizations that have now testify regularly at this committee entered into a non-disclosure agreements with TikTok and received grant money to promote their Veteran Voices initiatives. We as Congress had enough of a concern about the TikTok ban in last Congress, and I remain concerned about the threat that TikTok poses. First, because of the data collection and sharing with the Chinese government, and second, because of the opportunity for propaganda. Our committee rules have been updated to require the witness to disclosure funding that comes from entities associated with foreign adversaries such as TikTok. Additionally, and at the request of the minority, we have added disclosure requirement for funding for entities associated with countries of concern, as identified by the State Department. And I believe these are thoughtful changes to the committee rules that members should support. Are there any amendments to the proposed committee rules?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk shall report.
Amendment to the Committee on Veterans.
Text was circulated in advance, and as I ask, a unanimous consent that reading be dispensed with. Hearing no objection, so ordered. The ranking member is now recognized for 5 minutes in support of his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the same spirit of transparency that led the majority to require witnesses to disclose foreign contributions to their organizations, my amendment would require those who are asked to testify before this committee to disclose financial contributions received from any one source in the prior fiscal year that is greater than 10% of that witness organization's operating budget. In an effort to prevent disclosures from becoming overly burdensome, the 10% requirement will avoid organizations having to list numerous small dollar donations from everyday Americans who truly support the mission of the organization and aren't using it to buy influence. I will also remind my colleagues that the rules of the committee already contain a caveat that the disclosure requirement only applies if the funding is related to the subject matter of the hearing. So this will avoid organizations needing to disclose every donation every time they appear before the committee. Accordingly, compliance with this new requirement should be simple and straightforward. The goal here is to increase transparency into the circumstances that may influence the organizations that we rely on to inform our policymaking. Under House rules, non-governmental witnesses are required to fill out truth in testimony forms, which are meant to inform the public in Congress about any potential conflicts of interest a witness may have. These forms already collect information regarding federal funding that witnesses and the organizations receive through grants and contracts. It is logical to extend the disclosure requirement to funding from outside sources so that we have a clear view of the financial incentives that drive an organization's policy positions on matters on which they are testifying before the committee. We need to ensure that the testimony we receive promotes the interests of veterans over private interests, which gets me to the most important justification for this amendment. Veterans deserve to know who is funding or otherwise exerting influence on the organizations outside VA that provide them services or purport to represent their interess. I think we can all agree that there is too much dark money in politics, and it has no place on this committee where we have the responsibility to improve the lives of those who served. Now, considering that my colleagues on this committee raised concerns that the Chinese government was using TikTok grants as a means to influence policy, this amendment would ensure that we are aware of other financial motivations or entanglements of witnesses before the committee. The purpose is not to target veteran service organizations or the nonprofits that we have relied on for decades to guide our policymaking. But as the veteran space becomes increasingly profitable for private enterprise, we have a responsibility to ensure that we know whose interests are being represented before us. Now, my amendment does not force approval or disapproval of these witnesses, but it does ensure our committee and the public are fully informed about the financial influences on the organizations that testify before us. It brings transparency and accountability to our work. To use a phrase from my colleagues across the aisle, this amendment will help us drain the swamp. I urge your support on this reasonable and common sense approach. And I yield back.
I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I must oppose the amendment as it's unnecessary. The current rules change is intended to address a real current threat from a foreign adversary. It is designed to ensure that members are aware of funding received by a witness appearing before us that is from an entity or country identified as a posing threat to the United States. It will ensure our members are fully aware if a foreign adversary is somehow influencing the testimony of the witness. This proposed amendment would require witnesses to disclose funding not required under the House rules. This language is requiring disclosure of money received from private citizens and entities within the United States who pose no threat to our country. The proposed rule change is designed to play political games and may deter witnesses from testifying. I urge all members to reject this amendment and the amendment that I feel is political in nature. Is there any other discussion on the ranking member's amendment? Dr. Miller-Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very briefly, why wouldn't we also then require, if we would require this, that any organization, nonprofit who presents before us, if the primary source of their funding is from the government, why wouldn't we want to know that also? Doesn't that present a conflict of interest, i.e., they may not be addressing the interest of that veteran in their community, but the interest of the VA, and then that would impair our oversight function. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you. Any others? Okay, the question occurs on the Takano amendment to the rules package. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? No? No? I'm so glad you're with me. In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it, and the amendment is not agreed to. Is there any other further discussion on the proposed rules? If not, I now recognize General Berkman for a motion to approve the resolution adopting the proposed rules for the 119th Congress.
Chairman, I move that the committee approve the resolution to adopt the committee rules for the 119th.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The rules of this committee are adopted. Our next item of business is considering the resolution to designate the committee vice chair and subcommittee chairs. Under the resolution, Ms. Radewagen will serve as vice chair of the full committee. Mr. Luttrell will serve as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs. Mr. Van Orden will serve as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Economic Opportunity. Dr. Miller-Meeks will serve as chairwoman of the Subcommittee on Health. Ms. Kiggins will serve as chairwoman of the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigation. And Mr. Barrett will serve as the chairman of the Subcommittee on Technology Modernization. I thank these capable members who have agreed to take on the demanding leadership responsibilities of chairing these subcommittees, and I look forward to working with them. I would also like to thank Ms. Radewagen for agreeing to serve as vice chair of the committee. I now recognize General Berkman for a motion to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee approve the resolution to designate the vice chair and subcommittee chairs.
Also, all those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. The next resolution before the committee is the designating of the ranking minority members of the subcommittee. I now recognize the ranking member, Mr. Takano, to offer the resolution.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer a resolution to approve the vice ranking member and subcommittee ranking members. And also, I wanted to inform you that we've elected as vice ranking member Representative Herb Conaway of New Jersey, and the following ranking members of the subcommittees: Representative Morgan McGarvey of Kentucky, the Subcommittee on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs; Representative Chris Pappas of New Hampshire, the ranking member of Subcommittee on Economic Opportunity; Representative Julia Brownlee of California to be the ranking member on the Subcommittee on Health; Representative Delia Ramirez of Illinois to be the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations; Representative Nikki Budzinski of Illinois to be the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Technology Modernization.
And now recognize Dr. Conaway for a motion to adopt the resolution designating the ranking minority members.
I move that the committee adopt a resolution approving ranking members of the subcommittee.
All those in favor will say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Our next resolution for consideration designates the majority members of the subcommittees. The list is before the members, and I now recognize General Berkman for a motion to adopt the resolution designating the majority members of the subcommittees.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee approve the resolution naming the members of the subcommittees.
All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. The next resolution for consideration, offered by Mr. Takano, designates the minority members of the subcommittee. Ranking Member Takano is recognized for comments he may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I offer a resolution to approve the Democratic Subcommittee membership for the 119th Congress.
I now recognize Dr. Conaway for a motion to approve the resolution designating the minority members of the subcommittee.
I move that the committee adopt a resolution approving minority subcommittee assignments and ratios.
All those in favor would say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. And we will now consider the resolution approving the committee staff. The list is before the members, and the committee has a highly, and I'm going to say this clearly, the committee has a high qualified, experienced, and knowledgeable staff. You will all find that out if you don't know it already. Many of whom are veterans themselves. Mr. Takano and I are confident that our staffs will be very responsible to the committee and non-committee members alike and their staffs to serve them and their veterans constituents well. Mr. Takano is recognized for a motion to adopt the resolution approving the committee staff.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee adopt the resolution approving committee staff.
All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. We will now consider authorizing the oversight plan for the 119th Congress. The text of this plan was sent to all members. It lays out a comprehensive strategy to oversee the care and benefits being provided by the VA to our nation's veterans. I think this document lays out a great vision for our committee to complete its oversight of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Is there any discussion of the proposed oversight? Seeing none, I now recognize General Berkman for a motion to approve the resolution adopting the proposed authorization and oversight plan of the 119th Congress.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee approve the committee authorization and oversight plan for the 119th Congress.
All those in favor will say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the authorization and oversight plan is approved. Thank you. That now concludes our business of today's meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ranking Member.
pursuant to Clause 2, House Rule 11, I give notice of intent to file minority, supplemental, additional, or dissenting views on the committee authorization and oversight plan for the 119th Congress.
Without objection. I want to thank all the members for their attendance today, and I look forward to working with you in the Congress ahead of us, because we're going to serve this nation well, and we're going to serve our veterans well. Now, I ask unanimous consent that all staff may make any technical and conforming amendments, and that all members shall have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks on today's organizational meeting. Hearing no objection, the meeting is now adjourned.